Hi guys, thanks for joining me. My name's Jake Hicks, and today I just wanted to put together a quick video of my first impressions and feelings on the new Fujifilm GFX camera, the new medium format mirrorless camera that has been quite a buzz about recently. Very fortunate to get my hands on this. I've been shooting with it the last few days, week or so, something like that. I'm personally nothing to do with Fujifilm. I don't think I'm old enough yet to be on the team, but a good friend of mine, Wayne Johns, he let me borrow it for a few days. So yeah, definitely go and say hi to him and check out his work. Awesome guy. Wayne Johns, I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, so the Fujifilm GFX. So what we're going to do today is I'll just go through just a few technical details, as much as I know, and just to really go over some of the bits and pieces to those of you that aren't aware of exactly what it is. Then I'll actually get a chance to look at some RAWs. I shot some RAWs the other day on a photo shoot, which I wanted to show you the actual results. So rather than just talking about specs on a sheet of paper, let's actually look at the results, and then we'll just round it out with my sort of impressions and personal feelings on it and that sort of thing. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the GFX mirrorless medium format digital camera. You know, what does that mean to us as shooters? You know, what does that really mean? Why is everybody so excited about that? Well, this is really the first time, bar the Hasselblad bringing out a medium format mirrorless a couple of months before them. This is really the first time where we've had a larger sensor size with a mirrorless system. And I mean, first off, you can see that anybody who's used medium format cameras before will know that the size of them is pretty big, but this is not the case with the GFX. I'm pretty sure I've used bigger DSLRs than this. So this is a really compact size with a far bigger sensor in there than the normal full frame that we're used to. And just whilst I'm on that, actually talking about the full frame and sensor size, the medium formats, you know, that's quite a broad term. Full frame, we all know what full frame is. We all know that sort of size and how that relates. But medium format is quite a large, broad spectrum. Really, there's a lot of different film sizes and sensor sizes that actually come in that bracket. In fact, I actually put some of it down. I may as well share it with you. But in terms of sensor sizes and that sort of thing, if you imagine, you know, this is the full frame that we're used to. Okay, down here, I mean, this is the APS-C, so the XT2s. This is the GFX in here. Okay, so it's not a huge jump up, but obviously it is, you know, significant when you actually think about the number of pixels. But also in the same bracket as medium format, you've got the larger Phase 1 XF there. Okay, so medium format is really anything that is larger than 35mm, but smaller than 5.4. Okay, that's a huge spectrum of sensor sizes and film sizes that fall into that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So the size of that GFX chip is certainly bigger, but it's not, you know, it's not medium format film sizes that perhaps we were used to shooting years and years ago. And I'll come on to that a little bit later and what that means with regards to the lenses and that sort of thing. But yeah, just wanted to highlight that about medium format. Just be mindful when you're looking at it going forward, what is the actual size of the chip, because medium format means a lot of things. So what else we got? You know, what's the deal with this camera? Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to be just reading off a few specs, just because, like I keep telling my wife, I can't remember everything. So yeah, just going to reel off a couple of specs here. This is a 51.4 megapixel camera. So yeah, that seems a lot, and obviously it is a lot, but you know, I don't want you to get too bogged down by megapixels at the moment. It really is the quality of the pixels, not the number of them that myself that I'm interested in. I would probably recommend that we all get a little bit more savvy with that going forward. I did a review recently of the XT2, and I've just shown you the size of the chip in that. The sensor in that is tiny. But the quality that thing was putting out was just phenomenal. So yeah, it really is the quality of the pixels. But yeah, so over 50 megapixels for this. At the moment, I think this has got 3 lenses that you can get for it. This is the standard 63mm which is the equivalent of a 50mm in DSLR terms. And then they've got another zoom, and I think they've got a like more of an 85-90mm equivalent as well. I think they're going to have 6 lenses promised by the end of 2017. So not a huge number of lenses at the moment, but certainly enough to be getting on with. I've only used this one lens. This is obviously a prime 2.8 lens, and I'm shooting fashion with it, but 3/4 headshots is a little bit wide, but you know, I was still managing, and you know, we'll see that, you know, the shots that I got, there's no grumbling there, so you can certainly get away with a lot. What else have we got? We have the one thing to note is that this is a 4:3 ratio. Okay, so we're used to shooting with the DSLR ratios, which is like 4:6 type thing, okay, or the 2:3. So this is slightly squarer. I have to say I didn't actually notice it. You know, you do, you know, when you're, like when I'm shooting, I didn't really notice a massive difference in terms of that, and you can certainly change it in here as well, and you've certainly got the megapixels that if you wanted to still shoot in the 2:3, then you certainly can do, and you're not really going to lose too much data there. But yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. Very powerful camera, medium format. You need to sort of change the way that you shoot to a certain extent, and I think a lot of people maybe shoot, you know, real quick. Boom, 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 boom. You know, with DSLRs, there's no real need to do that unless you're shooting sport or I don't know what else. But if you're in a studio environment, yeah, this is, you know, you just need to slow down a bit, and this will sort of force you to do it, because obviously there's a lot to move around in there. There's a lot going on, massive file sizes being written. This will shoot at 3 frames a second, which is, in my opinion, more than enough than you need. I didn't notice when I was shooting. The way that I shoot is probably, you know, take a picture, you're waiting for the, you know, you're recomposing, or the model's, you know, posing, changing and that sort of stuff, take another shot. I certainly did not come up against any buffering or not being able to, you know, fire fast enough. I think this will actually shoot 8 full-size RAWs continuously like that, without, you know, before it has to stop and save them. So yeah, if you're a super fast shooter, then just be mindful that, yeah, you know, you might, this will force you to slow down, which I don't actually think is a bad thing personally. Sync speed on this, yeah, one thing is that these are not leaf shutters. So essentially what I mean by leaf shutter is that a lot of medium format cameras, you know, the Hasselblads were famous for it as well, the shutter would open and close like an iris, which meant that you could sync the cameras up to the fastest shutter speed, as in sync them with the flash. So they would, you know, the shutter would capture the flash. You didn't have to sync it to a specific speed, because you're not waiting for anything apart from the iris to open and close. These are not iris shutters in here. So I think the fastest, yeah, 125th of a second you can sync to. I shoot in a studio where, you know, I've got control of the lighting and that sort of thing, so 125th is fine. I'm used to shooting at that with my Nikon anyway, so that's absolutely fine. But yeah, just to bear in mind that these are not leaf shutters. Another thing as well is that it's super light, really lightweight, this camera. Granted, this is a 63mm prime on there, it's not super heavy, but you know, I think with the battery out, no lens, and I think it's like, what was it, 920 grams or something. So it's really light. It's really light, and you know, the shape of the body and everything, there's a real deep grip in there. It's really nice. It's you know, it's not painful to use at all. Sometimes medium format cameras can be so heavy to use, and this was a real pleasure to use all day. No problems at all. Real nice deep thumb grip there as well. So yeah, and I think you can even get a vertical grip for it now as well. Okay, so, you know, just briefly, that's the overview of that, bits and pieces. Let's go and just take a closer look at some of the details here, and I'll show you what some of the bits and pieces can do, and what bits come off, what bits don't come off, and that sort of thing, and focusing. So let's just switch over here. Okay, so let's start from the beginning then, if there is one. But yeah, like I said, we've got the 63mm lens on here, and Then we've got all the flaps and knobs and switches around the outside. So let's have a look and see what we've got in door number 1. So we've got DC in, we've got USB 3, we've also then got our HDMI, and then a nice feature is the fact that the remote that you just saw then, you know, you can access that with a separate door as well, which is pretty cool. Okay, in the next one we have just what you'd expect, mic, headphone, sort of thing. Okay, nothing too crazy there. And then obviously in the last big door down here, we have the battery. Okay, the battery I was actually surprised at this. I mean, it seems big, but that's so light. It's really, really light. You know, like packet of fags light. It really is just, you know, there's no weight to it at all, really. But yeah, big. Another thing on the battery front is that I was shooting for, like all day, you know, shot hundreds of files with it and only used up half the battery. So I mean, the battery will see you through a full shoot, no question. I wasn't shooting tethered or anything like that, but you know, even still, impressive. We've obviously got the screen at the back here that, you know, flips out. I know a lot of people were asking for that. I don't know who those people were, but certainly wasn't me. But anyway, yeah, flip out screen if you want. Okay, that goes all the, you know, ways that you'd expect. Okay, so shooting portrait from the hip or landscape from the hip, you can do that as well. Then we've obviously got the knobs and dials and switches. So right at the front here, just switching on there, we've got the way that it's displayed there. Okay, there's a little button there, you can turn that to the negative of it, which is slightly lit. Then you've got, anybody who's used to the XT2s and that sort of thing will know that these are all locked off, so you can just click that and locks. Okay, which is quite cool. 125th of a second is the sync speed, like we spoke about, goes all the way up to 4,000th of a second, which is again pretty impressive for medium format. A lot of the old ones used to be only a thousandth, so that's pretty cool. Another nice little feature on this is that you can remove the viewfinder if you wanted to. Another hot shoe underneath there, so you know, even with it off, you can still use it. Just wanted to use the screen, you could do that. And you can replace it with a viewfinder here that I think is like, goes up and down as well. Okay. We've got the ISO over here, again, locked off in there. And the aperture ring, which is quite cool. At the moment, it's, you know, I'm operating the aperture through the dial here. Okay, because it's on the C there. If I push that button in and switch it, I can now change the aperture via the ring if you want. Okay, nice little feature, depending on what you prefer using or what you're used to. Like I said, I've been using the DSLRs for a while now. I'm just used to using the, you know, the dial here, so it's just nice to have. So focus modes, you got obviously the manual, we got the single shot and continuous, and then what else have we got? The screen. So let's just put that on so we can actually see a bit better. So back here we've got our focusing. Okay, this is our focusing screen here. One thing that's nice is just hitting that little dial there will center it, and then I can move it around. Having this thumbnail, this little joystick to move the focusing point around is really, really nice. Us Nikon shooters have been suffering without that. I know Canon, some of the, I don't know whether the most recent Canons have got it, but yeah, they used to have that. This is so useful, just be able to quickly go around. One thing I noticed as well, obviously I was shooting 2.8 on when I was doing 3/4 length body shots, so it was really nice to just be able to just not have to focus and recompose. You know, it speeds it up a lot, and I kept having to force myself to, you know, wow, I don't have to focus, recompose, you know, it's all, I can put it wherever I want, right on the eyeball at the top, focus, and then shoot, and keep doing it like that. And it also means that a lot more of my shots were in focus because of it as well, which was nice. Like I said, just punch it in the middle there and it will center again. Another thing as well is that you can obviously enlarge the focusing area okay, which is pretty cool. And still move that around. It's pretty nice. And yeah, as well, it's a touch screen. Okay, so you can focus on a point anywhere in the screen if you're not looking through the viewfinder. Okay, which is pretty cool, pretty nice. Speaking, I mean, I always look through here. That's how I've got it set up, and you can change the view modes just on the button there. But you know, I shoot by looking through. I'm not somebody who holds it out in front. And this doesn't have an optical viewfinder. You know, it's not a rangefinder or anything like that. It is a digital viewfinder, so you know, you are looking at pixels. So I have to say the quality of it was so fantastic that I really didn't notice. You know, I was like, oh god, I hate looking through some of them. It, you know, looks like you're looking through an Android or something like that. You know, the quality of that is so good that you really don't even, you know, after a few seconds you just forget that you are looking through a digital feed, which is really nice, really clean. We can also go into the playback mode, and again, you know, obviously it's touchscreen again. Okay, so you can check focus really quickly, which is really good. Okay, and again, one of those things just takes a while getting used to. I'm not used to touchscreen cameras myself, so it's just really wow. It's, you know, on the day it was like so quick, just zoom in, pop. One thing I did notice, I don't know whether I'm right in thinking this, but you know, because we are looking at JPEGs, not looking at the RAW. Sometimes when you're shooting and you're zooming in, you are starting to see the JPEG breakup rather than the actual RAW quality itself. But maybe that was just a time thing. Maybe it just had to take time to process. I mean, I'm looking at it now and they look great. So maybe it was just me on the day. But yeah, again, it's just super quick, really clean, crisp, and the feedback on the screen is phenomenal. As in, you know, there's so much detail. It's showing you absolutely everything. It's not like some of the screens which have a lot more contrast and saturation, where it's not an accurate representation of what you're getting. Okay, so that is pretty much that. I'm sure there's loads more things, like, you know, the menu system and that sort of thing. In fact, whilst I am here, I will just see if I can, you do have a quick menu here. I'll just show you. So the quick menu, you just press the Q button there. Okay, which just brings this up. Okay, so you can access everything really quickly in there. Or you can go into the main menu itself. Okay, and one thing I was really impressed with was how clean and quick this camera is to get shooting. You know, I wasn't sifting through tons of you know, words and complicated things. It's all really obvious and really clean, really easily, you know, it's really well laid out. You know, they're not, in my opinion, I don't think they're paying any lip service to having all the silly features that nobody ever uses. But yeah, I just thought the whole thing was super clean, really well done, and, you know, geared up to people who want to get to the shooting as quickly as possible. They don't want to have to, you know, learn how to fly the Starship Enterprise before they can start taking pictures. You know, you can just literally take this out of the box and start shooting it straight away, which is, you know, fair play to them. Fair play indeed. Cool, okay. So let's have a look at some of the files now. Let's see what we've got with some of the RAWs that I took on the day. Okay, so we've had a chat about some of the technical details and had a look at some of the features on the camera, you know, how it feels and that sort of thing. Let's now actually get into the images and see some of the shots that I took and see how they came out. Really, how do they fare? You know, stats aside, what's the actual reality of shooting with this camera? What do the images look like? Okay, so let's take a look at that. So let's open this up. Maybe come into develop here at the moment, and let's just reset all the settings here. Okay, so one thing I did notice is a personal thing. I haven't shot this with a light meter or anything like that, so I can't confirm this, but one thing I did notice was that the files, when you bring them in, they seem maybe half a stop underexposed compared to the screen. So I'm either going to, if I shoot with it again, just raise the or decrease the screen brightness, etc. So I'm just shooting a little bit brighter, because, you know, when they come in, they are looking a little bit dark, but that's not necessarily a bad thing when you consider the fact that, you know, things like that could have clipped had they, and I'll just check, I say could have clipped. Yeah, no, it's just up there. So, you know, had I been shooting a little bit brighter than that, that might have clipped. So I personally err on the side of shooting darker anyway. So, you know, we'll see. But yeah, so straight off, I mean, that's just ridiculous, you know, the quality of that. These files, these RAWs, when they come in, are about 110 meg, something like that. Okay, so you know, you need a decent hard drive to start shooting a full shoot with these. How many pixels? I just rolled over that, didn't say. So 6,192 pixels by 8,256 pixels. Okay, so yeah, very big files, but you know, it pays off. You know, you can see up here in the thumbnail what we've zoomed into 1:1 in here, and yeah, quality is just unbelievable. Again, this is at 2.8. I pretty much shot everything at 2.8 because I wanted to get the drop off that I was perhaps used to seeing with medium formats in the film days. I mentioned before about the size of the film in terms of the actual size, you know, physical millimeters of the actual film and how that relates. If you were shooting with one of the larger medium format cameras, you know, like the RB67 or something like that, which is one of the big ones, you know, an 85, no, it would be something like a 50mm equivalent would be closer to like 85mm on the medium format. Okay, whereas at the moment on this Fuji, on the smaller sensor, a 63mm is closer to the 50mm. What I'm getting at here is that those bigger sensors, those bigger film sizes, create far more drop off. Okay, the drop off in the you know, light to the bokeh, and the way that from the sharp to the out of focus is far more pronounced on those larger sensors. So in DSLRs, if we shoot at 1.8, 1.4, that sort of thing, then you're going to get a pronounced drop off. You would get the same look, you know, in this GFX with probably something like the 2.8. Okay, and again, going up further than that, you know, the 6.7 or something like that, something that you would shoot on 2.8 on the 6.7 may well look like something was shot at f1.4 or even beyond on a DSLR. It doesn't compare, and you know, if you look at some of the high-end fashion magazines like Vogue and that sort of thing, especially back in the 90s, where you've seen a lot of medium format film, you'll see what I mean. Like, the drop off of the depth of field is absolutely stunning, absolutely gorgeous. And although it's more pronounced on this GFX, it was not what I'm used to. That's because of the chip size. Okay, so I was perhaps looking for more depth of field than this camera was giving me, but that's a personal thing, and something that you're either aware of or you're not aware of, and it's either part of your desire or it isn't. Either way, really impressed with this camera. Okay, focusing again is easier because you can put that focal node directly on the eyeball. There's no focus recompose, soft focusing, which is phenomenal. Yeah, really amazing. But there's a lot of detail here. I haven't retouched any of these yet, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting. So we looked at the film size, all the pixel sizes and that sort of thing. But what about colors and things like that? How are the colors represented in this? Colors are great. You know, the colors are really strong. Okay, and to illustrate that point, I shot a lot of really heavy, let's see if I can get rid of some of these a second, a lot of really heavy, highly saturated shots. And okay, now anybody who's been shooting for any length of time will know that RAWs look inherently flat as soon as you bring them in. That's fine, that's not a problem. What's interesting is what you can get out of those RAWs once you've actually opened them up. And this thing is insane. Like, there is no other word for it. That is insane. Like, that is, I mean, it's just brace yourselves. Okay, so that's the raw. The color that you can get out of this chip is just, I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just laughable. It's just unbelievable. I would never be able to push these colors that far before. I mean, obviously I'm gonna have to clean up this background. This background looks so washed out because of the space that we were in. I couldn't get far enough back to reduce the fall off of light onto the background because of the background wasn't that high. But yeah, colors on the actual front here it's just crazy, absolutely crazy. Okay, and it's just not possible to extract that amount of saturation, you know, on other cameras that I've certainly used. Okay, I'm really looking forward to retouching these. I mean, this is still, I mean, I'm still in Lightroom. This is still technically the raw. I haven't even taken it into Photoshop yet. But yeah, just crazy, absolutely crazy. So yeah, a lot of fun with the colors, and I think I missed focus on this a little bit. Yeah, so that back eye is in focus. Still usable, but yeah. Oh, one thing actually I wanted to show you, which is hilarious. Let's get rid of those. Let's try and find one where the flash didn't go off. This is a 60 watt tungsten bulb that's lighting this, okay? Now you can see down here on the right that there is, you know, nothing there, as in this is just a raw, just brought in, okay, 60 watt modem. If that was on the Nikon, that would be a black screen. Just, you know, there would be, okay, maybe a little bit back there, but that would be a black screen. Like, that's crazy. Like, that is, that's insane. You know, the fact that you can pull it back from that. Like, the flash didn't fire. The data that's in here is just unbelievable. You know, even in the blacks like that, it's, you know, that's black latex. There is no data there, and it's managing to bring it out is just crazy. Yeah. Basically, if you see anybody with a GFX shooting in black and white, or, you know, they turn a GFX image black and white, just laugh at them, please. It's just like, just no excuse for it. Like, the colors in this is just, it's travesty. It's like buying a Lamborghini and never taking it out of second gear. You know, it's just cruel. But anyway, that's enough about me gushing over the quality of that. Let's come out of there. Okay, so that's, you know, we just had a look at the quality and bits and pieces like that about just how unbelievable, phenomenal the quality of the raw file is from this camera. There's just no other word for it. You know, the detail that's in the shadows there is second to none, literally. I mean, those shots were 100 ISO, you know, 2.8, but like I said, they're about 110 megs each. So there's a lot of data in those files, and if you want, you can use it. You really can. You know, it's there. If you want to use it, then you certainly can do. So let's move on from that, and let's have a quick chat about sort of my opinions and, you know, how does it sit with me. Okay, so we've had a chat about, you know, what it can do, you know, where it sits in our photographic world, you know, who would want this, who needs it, that sort of thing. We've had a look at some of the features on it as well, and also we've had a look at some of the raw files to see the quality and how it stands up. But my personal opinions on this camera is that, you know, it is absolutely outstanding. There is no other way of saying it. You know, it really is an outstanding camera. Very easy to use, very pleasurable to use. The grip is just a pleasure. It really is a pleasure to use and shoot all day with it without any qualms at all. Battery and that sort of thing, in terms of, you know, using it, again, shooting all day, only used half the battery, no qualms there. If, you know, you can take it out of the box, you can start shooting with it really, really quickly. Something that, for me, I don't use any bells and whistles on these cameras. I just want to take outstanding pictures with them, and you know, this is a camera that really enables you to do that, which you know, I have to take my hat off to Fuji for that. I do think they have been guilty of paying a little bit of lip service in the past, so fair play to them for this. I did mention before it's got the dual slots in there, and one thing to also bear in mind last minute is the fact that this, I was shooting with a 32 gig 260 megabytes a second card. So one thing to bear in mind is that, you know, you will need quite fast cards to deal with that amount of data in these, the amount of data that's been written in this. But really, like I said, outstanding camera. What does it run at? So the body on its own here in the UK, you can get for just shy of £6,000, so 6,000. In the US, that is $6,500. So it might seem like a lot of money, but you know, really don't think it is. It's for what it does. When you think that, you know, what we were paying $2 or $3 grand for in the DSLR market not too long ago, and they weren't doing anything different. They were just repackaging old ideas. This is, you know, this genuinely is the next step. There's no two ways about it. Lenses, obviously, you know, lenses are going to be pretty pricey. So this is what the 63mm we got here for £1,359. The zoom, that's $2,500. Oh no, I do apologise. Yeah, no, the zoom 32 to 64mm is $2,149, and the 120mm f4 is $2,500. So yeah, lenses are expensive. Lenses are expensive in the DSLR world as well. But remember, lenses don't really lose their value. This G system that the Fuji I personally think that the lenses that they're making now will be powerful enough, if you know, quality is high enough, that we will see a larger chip in, you know, not in the near future, but certainly in the next couple of years or so. I strongly believe that we'll be seeing a larger chip purely based on the quality of these lenses. I think that they will withstand a larger chip. The issues that we were having with DSLRs was the fact that, you know, the chips were becoming so powerful that we were literally physically seeing the glass, you know, regardless of how polished it was. And you know, this is really going to be the next step. And I think that, you know, going, you know, the chip slightly bigger would be enough to push me over the edge. Would I get it at the moment? I've got a couple of financial burdens outside of, you know, in my personal life that means that I can't quite commit to this at the moment. But do I think it's worth it? I do think it's worth it. Yeah, I do think it's worth the money. If you want a camera that's going to help you cheat at photography, personally, I think this is it. I mean, we saw the quality that it was kicking out at. I mean, you know, you can shoot the damn thing in the dark and you're still going to get outstanding results, you know. And yeah, we were zooming in and you were starting to see noise when you increase it by 4 stops, but nobody's going to see that you know, on their iPhone or anything like that. Like, like if you want a camera with, you know, a dynamic range that is just going to give you every option under the sun, plus all the color detail that you could ever possibly need and want, then this is by far and away the best example I've seen of that. So yeah, I mean, it's got everything, you know, size, weight, usability, and quality files as well. Definitely something to get excited about, and certainly watching the G series to go forward. Okay, well, this video has gone on way too long, as always. My videos always do, and I thought it was going to be like a quick 10-minute video and we're done, but there's a lot that I wanted to say about it. So sorry about the length of the video. I'll probably end up breaking it into sections now, but yeah, that's definitely, if you get your chance to get your hands on these, then, you know, definitely do it, play with it. But yeah, don't be surprised if you fall in love with it. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate you stopping by to check out my video. By all means, head over to my website, jkicksphotography.com, and my Facebook page and Instagram and all that sort of thing. But yeah, thanks again, guys. Take it easy.